It's about the crowds. Well, at this time in the show, we always show you something that's trending on social media. How about this? You couldn't get...
The numbers should have made absolutely no sense. 171,000 views, 29,000 views, 9,000 views. Those were the official YouTube numbers attached to pre-tournament press conferences at the 2026 Australian Open. One of them belonged to a four-time Grand Slam champion. Another belonged to the reigning world number one. The largest number, by an overwhelming margin, belonged to a 20-year-old Filipina who had not yet won a single match in Melbourne. Her name was Alex Eala. And by the time Wimbledon 2026 arrived, the entire tennis world was being forced to confront a reality that many institutions inside the sport still did not fully understand. Aryna Sabalenka walked into Wimbledon defending her image. Alex Eala walked into Wimbledon carrying a nation. That difference changed everything. If you had followed Alex Eala since the Miami semifinal, since the Junior US Open, since the days when tournament officials barely recognized her name, then you already understood what the rest of the tennis world was only beginning to discover. This was never simply about rankings. It was never just about forehands, backhands, or tournament draws. This was about connection, emotion, identity, pride, and the rise of something tennis had never experienced before. Because Alex Eala wasn't simply becoming a star, she was becoming a movement. 5 days before Wimbledon officially began, Alex stood in Birmingham holding the first grass court trophy of her professional career. It was one of the biggest moments of her young life, yet what happened after the final mattered even more than the victory itself. The tennis itself had already been extraordinary. She battled through a brutal three-set championship match against Nicola Bardunkova, eventually winning 5-7, 6-3, 7-5 after nearly 3 hours on court. The comeback showed resilience, maturity, and composure beyond her years. But it was the trophy ceremony that transformed the moment into something unforgettable. Most players, after winning a title, thank their coaches first, or their family, or their team. Alex stepped to the microphone, looked toward the Filipino supporters filling the stands, and spoke in Tagalog. Home is the people, not the place. Then she thanked her countrymen for carrying her through the journey. The atmosphere changed instantly. Fans cried openly in the crowd. Social media exploded within minutes. Clips of the speech spread across the Philippines, across Europe, across every corner of the tennis internet. Because for millions of Filipinos watching around the world, that sentence felt deeply personal. Home is the people, not the place. It became more than a quote. It became a statement of identity, especially for the enormous Filipino diaspora working overseas, raising families abroad, and carrying memories of home with them every single day. Alex Eala understood something most athletes never fully grasp. The connection between a player and a country is not built only through victories. It is built through recognition, through honesty, through making people feel seen. And in that moment, millions of Filipinos felt exactly that. But the story had already been building long before Birmingham. 2 weeks earlier in Berlin, Alex had shocked the tennis world with one of the most impressive runs of the season. The tournament was loaded with elite grass court talent, former champions, top 10 players, major title contenders. Alex entered as a wild card with relatively modest expectations. Then, everything changed. She defeated Elena Rybakina, the 2022 Wimbledon champion and one of the most feared players on grass. The performance stunned analysts across the sport. Rybakina's power had overwhelmed countless opponents on the surface, yet Alex matched her shot for shot and eventually took control of the match. Then came another statement victory. Alina Svitolina, another elite player, another huge stage, another Alex Eala triumph. Back-to-back wins over top-level opponents transformed her from a promising young talent into one of the biggest stories in tennis. By the time she reached the semifinals in Berlin, the crowds were no longer reacting to potential. They were reacting to belief. The chants echoing around the courts sounded different now. People weren't watching simply to see if she could compete anymore. They were watching because they genuinely believed she could win. And while Alex Eala was building momentum on court, another storyline was unfolding on the opposite side of the tennis world. The world number one, Aryna Sabalenka, was fighting an entirely different battle. 3 days before Wimbledon, Reuters published comments from Sabalenka describing the emotional fallout from her painful Roland Garros collapse. She admitted publicly that she had fallen into what she called a deep dark hole after the defeat. Her words shocked many inside the sport. "I just want to quit tennis right now," she confessed emotionally after the loss. The statement spread rapidly across international media. Then came another wave of attention. The Guardian published a lengthy profile focusing on Sabalenka's personality, emotions, and image entering Wimbledon. British media described her press conference as tense and uncomfortable. Questions about mental resilience, pressure, and emotional control dominated the coverage. The world number one spent the week defending herself. Meanwhile, Alex Eala spent the week being celebrated by an entire country. That contrast became impossible to ignore. Sabalenka entered Wimbledon under scrutiny. Alex entered Wimbledon surrounded by energy, emotion, and overwhelming support. And perhaps the most remarkable part of all, Sabalenka never publicly mentioned Alex Eala once. Not the crowds, not the phenomenon, not the attention, nothing. But in many ways, that silence became the loudest statement of all. Because by Wimbledon 2026, Alex Eala had become impossible to ignore. The Australian Open had already exposed the scale of what was happening. Tournament officials learned the lesson the hard way. At Melbourne Park, Alex had initially been scheduled on Court 6, an outer court with a capacity of roughly 1,500 people. The organizers expected moderate interest. Instead, chaos erupted. Thousands of Filipino fans flooded toward the court hours before the match even began. Lines stretched through the grounds. Spectators packed every available viewing space. Security struggled to control the crowds as supporters desperately tried to enter. BBC tennis reporters openly questioned how tournament schedulers had failed to anticipate the demand. Former British number one Annabel Croft could barely hide her disbelief while discussing the scenes. "How is she not on a bigger court?" commentators repeatedly asked. The situation became so overwhelming that the Australian Open later issued a public acknowledgement online, admitting they had underestimated Alex Eala's drawing power. A Grand Slam tournament had effectively apologized for failing to understand the size of her audience. That had never happened before for a player ranked outside the elite tier. But Alex Eala was no ordinary player. She represented something entirely new. Tennis had spent decades centered around Europe, North America, and a handful of traditional markets. The Philippines, despite its enormous population and passionate overseas community, had never truly been integrated into the sport's commercial imagination. Now that was changing in real time. The Philippines has more than 117 million people. Millions more live abroad. Thousands work throughout the United Kingdom alone, particularly inside healthcare systems, service industries, and major metropolitan communities. When Wimbledon released the draw featuring Alex Eala as the number 29 seed, that global Filipino community mobilized immediately. Flights were booked, hotels filled. Filipino restaurants around London reported surges in customers discussing Wimbledon schedules. The Filipino Army, as many fans proudly called themselves online, had arrived. And Wimbledon understood immediately that this situation was different. Alex Eala became the first Filipino player in history to earn a Grand Slam singles seeding. That wasn't just a personal achievement. It represented a structural shift inside the sport itself. One of tennis's oldest institutions had officially adjusted around the rise of a young woman from Quezon City. The symbolism mattered enormously, because tennis institutions rarely change quickly. Yet Alex Eala forced them to adapt. Her popularity demanded it. Even respected voices across the tennis world began acknowledging the transformation happening around her. Greg Rosetsky, former US Open finalist and longtime tennis analyst, openly described Wimbledon 2026 as a potential breakthrough tournament for Alex. He specifically referenced the overwhelming Filipino support as one of the reasons she could thrive under pressure rather than collapse beneath it. Annabel Croft echoed similar sentiments. When experienced figures who have spent decades covering Grand Slam tennis start speaking with genuine amazement, people pay attention. And the draw itself only intensified the excitement. Sabalenka occupied one half. Alex occupied the other. They could not meet until the final. Suddenly, the dream scenario became possible. If Alex survived the opening rounds, she could build momentum without immediately facing the world number one. And the potential second-round matchup waiting for her? Serena Williams. The possibility alone felt almost unreal. Serena, returning from retirement with a wild card. Alex Eala, the rising Filipino star carrying a nation. The storyline practically wrote itself. The excitement surrounding that potential clash exploded across sports media before either player had even stepped onto court. But Alex herself remained remarkably calm throughout the attention. That composure had become one of the defining features of her rise. Because despite the crowds, despite the headlines, despite the emotional support from millions of people, she never tried to turn herself into something artificial. She stayed grounded, focused, measured. That authenticity only deepened the connection fans felt toward her. And perhaps that was the biggest difference between Alex Eala and many modern sports stars. People didn't feel like they were watching a manufactured celebrity. They felt like they were watching one of their own. Someone genuine, someone vulnerable, someone real. That emotional authenticity became even more powerful because Alex's journey had never been smooth. She lost early at Roland Garros. She lost painful matches throughout her development. She experienced disappointing exits during important tournaments. Even just 1 week before Wimbledon, she suffered an early defeat at Bad Hamburg. But when reporters asked about the loss, she refused to complain. She didn't blame the conditions. She didn't blame fatigue. She didn't blame scheduling. Instead, she simply said she did the best she could with what she had that day. That response reflected exactly why people connected with her so deeply. Humility, honesty, perspective. And then there was the pressure. No athlete can fully prepare for the emotional weight Alex Eala carried into Wimbledon 2026. Because she wasn't simply representing herself anymore. She represented millions of people seeing possibility inside her success. That pressure can destroy athletes. We have seen it happen countless times. Young stars collapse beneath expectations all the time. But Alex seemed to absorb the pressure differently, almost as fuel. The louder the crowds became, the stronger she appeared to grow. And nowhere was that more obvious than in the atmosphere surrounding her matches. The sound was unlike anything tennis had experienced in years. Filipino chants echoed through Wimbledon grounds, usually dominated by polite applause and restrained reactions. Flags waved constantly through the stands. Entire sections of supporters coordinated songs, cheers, and celebrations around her points. The energy felt closer to football crowds than traditional tennis audiences. And organizers quickly realized they were witnessing something special. This was not temporary hype. This was cultural momentum. Meanwhile, Aryna Sabalenka faced a completely different emotional environment. As the reigning world number one, every weakness became magnified under public scrutiny. Every emotional comment became international news. Every difficult press conference generated headlines. The contrast between the two women became impossible to ignore. Sabalenka walked into Wimbledon defending her image. Alex Eala walked into Wimbledon defending nothing at all. She didn't need to, because her fans had already decided exactly who she was. Not perfect, not flawless, but authentic. And authenticity creates loyalty in ways marketing campaigns never can. The most remarkable part of Alex Eala's rise wasn't just the rankings. It wasn't even the victories over elite players. It was the emotional scale of the connection she built with ordinary people. That connection transcended tennis itself. Many Filipino fans supporting her could not explain advanced tennis strategy. Some barely followed the sport before her breakthrough. But they understood effort, sacrifice, representation, hope. And Alex Eala embodied all of those things. By the time Wimbledon officially began, the atmosphere around her felt larger than sport. Every practice session drew crowds. Every interview generated headlines. Every social media clip exploded across platforms. The tournament organizers had learned from Melbourne. Alex would not be hidden on small outer courts anymore. Wimbledon understood exactly what she had become. A global attraction, a commercial force, a cultural phenomenon. And yet through all of it, Alex herself remained astonishingly grounded. That humility likely came from the years before the spotlight arrived. The difficult training sessions, the sacrifices at the Rafa Nadal Academy, the losses nobody remembers now, the lonely moments that shaped her resilience. Those experiences gave her emotional stability long before fame arrived. So while the world debated whether she could become the face of a new era in tennis, Alex focused on simpler things. One match at a time, one point at a time, one opportunity at a time. That mindset made her dangerous, because emotionally overwhelmed athletes rarely perform their best. Alex, somehow, appeared emotionally strengthened by the attention instead. And perhaps that explains why her story resonated so powerfully across the world. People recognized something genuine unfolding in front of them, not a temporary media craze, not a marketing campaign, not artificial celebrity, something real. A young woman from the Philippines carrying the hopes of millions while remaining entirely herself through every moment of the chaos. That combination is incredibly rare in professional sports. And as Wimbledon 2026 unfolded, one question started dominating tennis conversations everywhere. What happens if Alex Eala actually reaches the second week? What happens if the crowds grow even larger? What happens if the noise becomes impossible for the rest of the sport to ignore? Because by then, one thing had already become crystal clear. Aryna Sabalenka may have entered Wimbledon as the best women's tennis player on earth. But Alex Eala entered it as the loudest story in sports. And on a draw sheet keeping them separated until the final weekend, the loudest story suddenly became the most dangerous variable in the tournament. The rankings mattered, the statistics mattered, the experience mattered. But none of those things fully capture the emotional force building behind Alex Eala. The Filipino army had seen it first. The tennis world was only beginning to understand it. And Wimbledon 2026 was about to show everyone exactly how powerful that force could become.